In today's world, we are surrounded by more information than ever before. Every day, countless decisions demand our attention. What to read, what to buy, who to trust. And yet, amid this flood of data, there exists a quiet guide within each of us, a compass often forgotten, our intuition. Intuition is not magic. It is not a prediction of the future, nor a mystical power reserved for a chosen few. Simply put, it is the ability to understand or know something instantly without the need for conscious reasoning. It's that subtle whisper, the sudden insight, the feeling that tells you which path feels right. In this video, we will explore why intuition matters today more than ever. We will uncover the science behind it, examine ancient practices that cultivated it, and discover how you can reconnect with this inner wisdom in your daily life. Because in a world full of noise, intuition can be the quiet voice that guides us to clarity, confidence, and meaningful choices. While our rational mind excels at processing facts, analyzing data, and solving problems, there exists another kind of intelligence, one that operates beyond logic, beyond careful calculation. This is what we call inner wisdom or intuition. Unlike reasoning, which moves step by step, intuition works in leaps, connecting dots that the conscious mind may never see. Think about the last time you met someone new and instantly felt you could trust them, or the moment you chose a path in life simply because it felt right. That sudden clarity, that inner nudge, is your intuition speaking. It is the mind's subtle way of drawing on experience, pattern recognition, and unconscious knowledge. Inner wisdom is often misunderstood. It is not a mystical gift, a supernatural ability, or a prediction of the future. It does not require esoteric training or secret knowledge, nor is it about following blind faith or unproven theories. Instead, intuition is a natural faculty, present in all of us, quietly guiding decisions in ways that logic alone cannot. Rational thought and intuition are not enemies. They are complementary. Where logic can take us through careful analysis, intuition provides shortcuts, a deeper sense of alignment, and sometimes a surprising clarity when reasoning falters. A seasoned chess player might see the winning move without consciously calculating every possibility. An entrepreneur may make a business choice based on a gut feeling that later proves to be insightful. These moments are not accidents. They are intuition at work. The key to understanding intuition is to recognize its subtle language. It rarely shouts, it whispers. It often manifests as a physical sensation, your stomach tightening, a sudden calm in your chest, or a spark of clarity in your mind. These experiences are common across cultures and across time. People everywhere report having insights that arrive unbidden, thoughts that seem to emerge from nowhere, and a knowing that defies logical explanation. This is not magic. It is the brain and body working together in sophisticated, subconscious ways. Modern science has begun to explore these phenomena without veering into the technical labyrinths of neuroscience that could overwhelm the casual observer. Studies in psychology and cognitive science suggest that intuition draws on pattern recognition, memory, and accumulated experience stored below the level of conscious thought. The brain rapidly processes countless cues, often faster than we can consciously analyze them, producing a sense of knowing without deliberate reasoning. It is the convergence of what we have learned, what we have experienced, and what our subconscious mind has absorbed over time. But intuition is not only mental, it is embodied. Many people describe it as a gut feeling because the enteric nervous system in our digestive tract communicates closely with the brain. This connection, sometimes referred to as the second brain, helps translate complex information into bodily sensations that guide our decisions. When you feel a sudden tension or a sense of ease, your body may be signaling insights your mind has yet to articulate. Despite its subtlety, intuition can be trained and strengthened. Much like any other skill, awareness is the first step. Paying attention to those fleeting moments of clarity, reflecting on past decisions that felt right, and observing patterns in your own thoughts and emotions can help you recognize your inner wisdom more reliably. Journaling, mindfulness, and quiet reflection are practical tools that connect you with your intuitive voice without resorting to mystical claims or esoteric practices. It is also important to distinguish intuition from wishful thinking or impulsive reactions. True intuition often arises in calm, centered states, not in panic, anxiety, or desperation. By cultivating presence and attentiveness, you can differentiate between the voice of reason, the voice of emotion, and the voice of intuition. Let's consider a few common experiences. Perhaps you have had a sudden insight during a mundane task, or a gut feeling warning you about a decision before you could analyze all the details. Maybe you instantly knew the right path to take in a personal or professional situation. These are small, everyday examples of intuition in action, accessible, practical, and meaningful. Ultimately, inner wisdom is a guide, a compass, and a companion. It reminds us that not all knowledge comes from books, data, or expert advice. Some understanding comes from within, quietly, persistently, and often precisely when we need it most. By learning to recognize and trust this voice, we open ourselves to decisions that feel aligned, creative, and authentic. In the next chapter, we will explore how this inner voice, the sixth sense, has been recognized across cultures and traditions, and how it can be further awakened through practices both ancient and modern. Because intuition is not lost, it is waiting for you to listen. For centuries, cultures around the world have spoken of a sixth sense, an innate ability to perceive beyond the ordinary five senses. From the shamans of the Amazon to ancient Eastern philosophies, from the mystics of the Middle East to the sages of the Far East, intuition was often described as a hidden faculty, a guide to decisions, and a source of inner knowledge. But what does this mean in practical terms? And can modern psychology help us understand this elusive sixth sense without resorting to myths, esoteric claims, or unfounded predictions? Historically, many traditions revered intuition as a vital skill. The ancient Greeks spoke of nous, a form of higher intellect or inner knowing. In India, the concept of buddhi described a refined faculty of discernment beyond ordinary reasoning. Indigenous cultures often trained individuals to read the environment, to sense subtle changes in weather, the behavior of animals, or the intentions of people. Practical applications that were guided by what we now recognize as intuitive awareness. Across these diverse cultures, intuition was treated not as an abstract power, but as a practical tool. It was a way to navigate uncertainty, to make decisions when complete information was unavailable, and to respond to the world with agility and insight. This is crucial. Intuition was never only about prediction or supernatural ability. It was about perception and informed judgment. Modern psychology frames intuition as the brain's remarkable capacity to process information rapidly and subconsciously. When faced with complex situations, our conscious mind can analyze only a fraction of the data available. Intuition, however, draws on patterns, experiences, and knowledge stored below conscious awareness, offering a quick answer when logic alone might take too long. For example, consider a doctor diagnosing a patient. Years of experience allow the physician to recognize subtle cues, tone of voice, posture, facial expression, that point toward a specific condition, often before lab results arrive. Or a seasoned firefighter who senses danger instinctively, moving just in time to avoid harm. These are not mystical powers. They are manifestations of the brain's ability to integrate complex information at a level we do not consciously perceive. Intuition, therefore, is less a mysterious sixth sense and more a sophisticated form of pattern recognition. Yet, it feels extraordinary because it bypasses the step-by-step reasoning process we usually rely on. This is why it has been historically described as a separate sense, because the insight appears suddenly, often with clarity that feels almost magical, even though it emerges from very real cognitive processes. Despite its universality, Intuition is not infallible. Cultural traditions often emphasize balance, honoring intuition while tempering it with reason. A warrior might rely on instinct in battle, but still train rigorously. A healer might sense the next step intuitively, but verify it with knowledge and observation. Modern science echoes this. Intuition is powerful, but works best when combined with experience, critical thinking, and reflection. Psychology research shows that intuitive decisions are most reliable when based on expertise. Novices might misinterpret feelings or impulses, but those with deep experience in a domain often achieve remarkably accurate judgments. This helps explain why intuition feels so immediate and compelling. The brain draws on vast, subconscious libraries of prior knowledge and experience. Interestingly, the sixth sense can also be cultivated. Practices such as mindful observation, journaling, and reflective decision-making help individuals notice subtle signals they might otherwise overlook. While intuition cannot be forced, creating conditions for awareness allows this hidden faculty to surface more frequently and with greater clarity. The lessons from ancient traditions and modern psychology converge here. Intuition is both innate and trainable, subtle yet practical, personal yet universal. It is not about mystical foresight or extraordinary psychic ability. It is a hidden faculty that can guide decisions, inform creativity, and enrich life, precisely because it integrates subconscious knowledge that logic alone cannot access. By understanding intuition in this light, we honor the historical reverence cultures placed upon it while grounding it firmly in practical, observable phenomena. It is a bridge between inner wisdom and conscious decision-making, a guide that has been quietly shaping human behavior for millennia. In the next chapter, we will explore the neuroscience behind intuition, how the brain and body collaborate to produce these insights, and how this understanding can empower you to harness your own inner guidance with confidence and clarity. Because intuition is not lost, it is waiting for you to recognize and trust it. Intuition has often been described as a mysterious inner voice, a sudden insight, or a gut feeling. But modern neuroscience offers a fascinating perspective. Intuition is the brain, and sometimes the body, processing information in ways we do not consciously notice. Recent studies in cognitive science and psychology reveal that our brains are constantly analyzing vast amounts of data beneath the surface of awareness. When faced with a decision, the conscious mind can only process a fraction of the available information. Meanwhile, the unconscious mind quickly identifies patterns, draws connections, and proposes options before we even realize it. Consider a simple example. You walk into a room and immediately sense tension among the people present. You may not consciously register subtle body language, tone of voice, or micro-expressions, but your brain does. That sense of unease, or even curiosity, is your intuitive mind interpreting complex signals instantly. Intuition is also deeply connected to the heart. Neurocardiology, a field that studies the interactions between the heart and the brain, suggests that the heart communicates vital information to the brain through neural pathways, hormones, and electromagnetic signals. In practical terms, your gut feeling may indeed involve the heart sending subtle cues to the brain, enhancing perception and guiding decisions. This connection explains why certain decisions feel embodied, where your body reacts before your mind has fully analyzed the situation. That tightening in your chest, the light sensation of calm, or a wave of anticipation. These are physiological signals interpreted by your brain as intuitive guidance. While it may feel mystical, it is grounded in the very real, measurable communication between body and mind. Another important aspect is the role of heuristics. Heuristics are mental shortcuts, rules of thumb that allow the brain to make fast decisions under uncertainty. While heuristics can sometimes lead to bias, they're also the foundation of intuitive thinking. They allow the brain to recognize patterns, recall past experiences, and generate a best guess without conscious deliberation. For example, an experienced firefighter may sense danger before it becomes obvious, or a teacher may intuitively understand a student's emotional state. These decisions are rapid, often occurring within seconds, and rely on heuristics and subconscious pattern recognition built through experience. Neuroscience also highlights the importance of the unconscious mind. While conscious thought is linear and deliberate, the unconscious mind can integrate multiple streams of information simultaneously, from visual cues to past memories to subtle environmental signals. Intuition is the result, a coherent insight emerging from processes that we cannot fully observe. This does not mean that intuition is infallible. Like any tool, it is shaped by the quality and quantity of our experience. Experts in a domain often demonstrate highly reliable intuition because their unconscious minds have learned to detect patterns accurately. Novices may experience intuitive feelings, but these are more prone to error because they lack sufficient reference points. The beauty of understanding the neuroscience of intuition is that it demystifies the process without diminishing its power. It shows that intuition is not a mystical gift reserved for a few. It is a natural function of the brain and body, accessible to anyone willing to cultivate awareness, attention, and experience. Practical strategies to enhance intuitive accuracy include mindfulness, reflection, and deliberate practice. Paying attention to bodily sensations, subtle cues in your environment, and past experiences helps the brain recognize patterns more efficiently. Over time, this trains the unconscious mind to deliver insights that are increasingly reliable. In daily life, this means noticing that quick sense of what feels right or wrong, reflecting on it calmly, and integrating it with rational thought. It is not about ignoring logic, nor about relying on mystical foresight. It is about giving space for the body and mind to collaborate in decision-making. Ultimately, the neuroscience of intuition reveals a profound truth. What we often call a gut feeling or inner voice is a sophisticated interplay of brain, heart, and unconscious processing. It is a bridge between what we know consciously and the vast reservoir of experience stored in our minds and bodies. In the next chapter, we will explore ancient practices that cultivate intuition, ways to intentionally connect with this hidden faculty, drawing on wisdom that spans cultures and centuries, without straying into mysticism or unverified claims. Because understanding the science of intuition empowers you to awaken and trust your inner guidance with clarity and confidence. Intuition has not only been studied by modern science, but it has also been cultivated for thousands of years through intentional practices across cultures. Long before brain scans and psychological experiments, human societies recognized the value of connecting with inner wisdom to guide decisions, creativity, and daily life. One of the most enduring ways to access intuition is through meditation. Across traditions, Buddhist, Hindu, Taoist, and even indigenous, meditation is used to quiet the mind and observe the present moment. In stillness, the clutter of constant thinking diminishes, allowing subtle insights to emerge. This silence is not emptiness, but a fertile space where inner guidance can be heard clearly. Dreams are another channel for intuition. Ancient cultures often considered dreams sacred messages, containing guidance or warnings. In many cases, dreams consolidate experiences, emotions, and information absorbed subconsciously, delivering insights that the conscious mind may overlook. Modern psychology confirms that dreams engage the same neural pathways involved in intuition, highlighting how the mind processes complex information during sleep. Beyond meditation and dreams, silence itself has been a powerful tool. In the quiet, away from the distractions of daily life, humans have historically been able to tune into subtle cues, inner impressions, and feelings that often go unnoticed. This practice of intentional attention fosters a kind of inner radar, sharpening the ability to detect patterns, make decisions, and sense opportunities or risks before they become obvious. Shamans and oracles across cultures offer another example of structured intuition. In indigenous societies, Shamans served as intermediaries between the physical and spiritual worlds, using rituals, symbols, and observation to guide their communities. Similarly, oracles in ancient Greece or Egypt were consulted for important decisions, demonstrating that intuition was not just personal, it was a societal tool. Communities recognized the importance of intuition for leadership, planning, and survival. In the East, practices such as I Ching divination, yoga, and contemplative exercises cultivated intuitive insight. The I Ching, or Book of Changes, provided guidance by reflecting patterns in life and nature, prompting reflection and alignment with deeper currents. Yoga, beyond physical postures, integrates breath, meditation, and body awareness to connect mind, body, and intuition. Contemplation, present in many spiritual traditions, trains the mind to observe, reflect, and respond with clarity rather than reaction. What unites these ancient practices is the principle of attunement. Attunement to the self, to nature, and to subtle signals of the environment. Societies that valued intuition often structured their daily lives, rituals, and education to cultivate these skills. Young members were trained to observe carefully, reflect deeply, and act with consideration, not relying solely on rational thought, but integrating knowledge, experience, and insight. These societies understood that intuition is not random or mystical. It is developed through repeated practice, awareness, and connection with the body and mind. It is a skill honed over time, much like learning music or craftsmanship. By observing patterns in nature, understanding human behavior, and reflecting on experiences, individuals could make decisions that were both practical and wise. Modern life often distances us from these practices. Our constant distractions, screens, and noise reduce opportunities to listen to the inner voice. Yet the lessons of ancient societies remind us that intuition thrives in calm, attentive, and reflective environments. Practices like meditation, journaling, mindful observation, and even intentional dreaming reconnect us to this inner guidance, bridging the gap between centuries-old wisdom and contemporary life. By incorporating these ancient practices into daily routines, anyone can cultivate intuitive insight. Start with simple steps. Pause for a few minutes each day. Focus on breath. Observe your environment attentively and note subtle impressions or feelings. Over time, this strengthens the mind's ability to recognize patterns, integrate experience, and produce intuitive guidance that complements rational thought. Ultimately, intuition was not only a personal tool in ancient times, it was a cornerstone of how societies navigated uncertainty, made decisions, and aligned with the natural world. By learning from these practices today, we reclaim access to a deeply human capacity, a hidden faculty that allows us to act with clarity, creativity, and confidence in a complex, fast-paced world. In the next chapter, we will explore scientific studies that measure and validate intuitive processes, showing how modern research and ancient wisdom converge to reveal the power of the inner voice. Intuition is often described as a mysterious inner voice, but modern science has begun to investigate it systematically. Researchers in psychology and neuroscience have explored how intuition works, testing its accuracy and its connection to experience, pattern recognition, and decision-making under uncertainty. One foundational discovery is that intuition is not random. Studies show that people with extensive knowledge in a specific domain often make highly accurate intuitive judgments. This accuracy is rooted in the brain's ability to unconsciously process complex patterns of information accumulated over years of practice and observation. For example, psychologists studying expert chess players found that masters could recognize optimal moves almost instantly, even without calculating every possibility consciously. Their intuition was shaped by thousands of hours of experience, training the brain to detect patterns at a level inaccessible to beginners. This demonstrates that intuition is less about mystical insight and more about the unconscious mind leveraging accumulated knowledge. In medicine, similar patterns emerge. Experienced physicians often report gut feelings about patient diagnoses that precede test results. Studies confirm that these intuitive impressions are statistically significant in predicting outcomes. By integrating subtle cues, facial expressions, tone of voice, posture, and minor symptoms, physicians' intuition acts as a rapid, efficient decision-making tool. Military research also provides compelling examples. Soldiers and commanders in high-pressure situations frequently rely on split-second intuitive judgments. In controlled studies, experts outperform novices in anticipating outcomes and assessing threats, even when time and information are limited. This demonstrates that intuition is highly context-dependent and improves dramatically with training and experience. Investors and financial professionals offer yet another illustration. Market decisions often require processing vast amounts of data in moments. Experienced investors sometimes report that their instincts guide profitable choices. Scientific studies analyzing these patterns show that intuition in complex environments is grounded in expertise and pattern recognition rather than random guesswork. A key principle emerges from these examples. Intuition becomes more precise through deliberate practice and exposure. Experts in any field develop intuitive accuracy because their brains and bodies learn to recognize subtle cues that are invisible to novices. This is why repeated experience, reflection, and attentiveness are critical to cultivating reliable intuition. Interestingly, controlled experiments have demonstrated that intuitive judgments are often faster and just as accurate as analytical reasoning in specific contexts. For instance, when faced with complex, time-sensitive decisions, participants with domain expertise frequently outperform those relying solely on step-by-step analysis. The brain's ability to integrate information subconsciously allows for rapid, effective responses. However, intuition is not infallible. It is domain-specific and shaped by both the quality of experience and the environment. Novices may rely on intuition prematurely, producing inconsistent or inaccurate results. Experts, on the other hand, cultivate intuition alongside conscious reasoning, balancing rapid insight with verification. This balance between subconscious processing and conscious evaluation is what makes intuition reliable and practical. Scientific studies also show that reflective practice enhances intuitive performance. Keeping a decision journal, analyzing past choices, and reviewing outcomes allow individuals to recognize patterns, correct errors, and strengthen intuitive insight. Over time, this feedback loop improves the accuracy and confidence of intuitive decisions. Taken together, these studies illustrate a profound truth. Intuition is a measurable, trainable, and highly practical cognitive skill. It is not mystical foresight or guesswork. Instead, it is the product of experience, pattern recognition, and subconscious processing, validated repeatedly in laboratories, clinical settings, financial markets, and high-stakes environments. By understanding and practicing the principles revealed by modern research, anyone can cultivate more precise intuition. The key lies in exposure, reflection, attentiveness, and integration with conscious reasoning. This approach bridges the wisdom of ancient practices with contemporary scientific validation, showing that intuition is not lost or mystical. It is accessible, practical, and essential. In the next chapter, we will explore mystical traditions that honored intuition, revealing how ancient cultures harnessed this hidden faculty in daily life and spiritual practice. By linking scientific understanding with historical wisdom, we can develop a comprehensive approach to intuitive living, one that is practical, inspiring, and grounded in reality. Across cultures and centuries, mystical traditions have recognized intuition not merely as a personal tool, but as a bridge to higher understanding, a pathway to the divine. From the Kabbalah of Jewish mysticism to Christian contemplative practices, from the philosophical insights of Eastern traditions to the spiritual exercises of Sufism and Taoism, intuition was seen as a channel through which deeper truths could emerge. In the Kabbalistic tradition, intuition is closely tied to the Sefirot, the 10 attributes through which divine energy flows into the world. Practitioners used meditation, reflection, and contemplation to align with these channels, allowing insights to surface that transcended rational analysis. Intuition was not considered random. It was a carefully cultivated faculty, an inner compass attuned to universal wisdom. Christian mystics similarly honored intuition as a means of spiritual discernment. Figures such as Meister Eckhart or Saint Teresa of Avila described moments of sudden clarity, inner knowing, or divine guidance arising in prayer or contemplation. These experiences were often described as the soul's response to divine presence, revealing truths that could not be attained through study alone. Importantly, these traditions emphasized discernment and balance. Intuition was to be integrated with moral understanding, reflection, and practical action, not followed blindly or interpreted as mere personal whim. This careful approach ensured that intuition remained a reliable guide, anchored in both spiritual and practical wisdom. In Eastern traditions, intuition has long been recognized as a vital aspect of enlightenment and personal development. Taoist teachings emphasize harmony with the natural flow, cultivating a sensitivity to subtle signs in the environment. Yoga and meditation practices in Hinduism train the mind and body to observe inner sensations, breathing patterns, and subtle impulses, fostering an intuitive awareness that informs both spiritual and everyday decisions. Similarly, in Zen Buddhism, practitioners practice zazen, sitting meditation, to quiet the mind and allow insights to arise spontaneously. These insights are often described as beyond the ordinary intellect, emerging instead from deep observation and presence, highlighting that intuition can be cultivated systematically, rather than being left to chance. Across these mystical paths, intuition is consistently portrayed as a channel for accessing wisdom that transcends the immediate, the rational, and the purely material. It was a way to engage with the world more deeply, perceive hidden patterns, and align decisions with ethical, spiritual, or natural principles. These traditions also illustrate that intuition is not limited to extraordinary experiences. Daily life was often structured to develop sensitivity. Rituals, disciplined observation, reflective journaling, and ethical living all reinforce the ability to perceive subtle signals and act with insight. Intuition was both cultivated and respected, embedded into the fabric of individual and communal life. It is fascinating that modern neuroscience and psychology echo many of these ancient insights. Just as contemplative practices train attention and awareness, contemporary research demonstrates that focused reflection, mindfulness, and deliberate practice enhance intuitive perception. In other words, mystical traditions discovered through experience what science is now beginning to measure systematically. The universal thread across cultures is clear. Intuition is not a mystical luxury. It is a practical, trainable, and essential human faculty. Whether considered a gift of the divine, a natural human capacity, or a cognitive skill, intuition bridges the conscious and unconscious, the seen and unseen, the personal and the universal. Modern seekers can learn from these traditions without adopting supernatural explanations or abandoning rational thinking. By practicing observation, reflection, and contemplative exercises, anyone can cultivate an intuitive awareness that is reliable, grounded, and integrated into daily life. The mystical perspective reminds us that intuition is not isolated. It is deeply connected to ethics, presence, observation, and understanding. It is a faculty that flourishes when we slow down, pay attention, and harmonize our mind, body, and environment. By engaging with this path, we access a rich source of insight that complements science, reason, and practical decision-making. In the next chapter, we will explore practical strategies and guides for awakening your own intuitive capacities, integrating ancient wisdom, modern science, and everyday practice to make intuition a reliable ally in life. Intuition is not reserved for mystics or experts. It is a natural faculty within all of us, waiting to be awakened and refined. The good news is that simple, practical exercises can strengthen this inner guidance, allowing you to apply it effectively in daily life. From business decisions to creative projects, relationships, and personal growth. The first step is awareness. Begin by noticing when subtle feelings, hunches, or impressions arise. These may come as brief thoughts, bodily sensations, or sudden clarity about a situation. Journaling is an excellent tool for capturing these insights. Set aside a few minutes each day to write down any intuitive impressions or sudden insights, along with the circumstances surrounding them. Over time, this practice reveals patterns. You begin to recognize which sensations are reliable guides and which may be influenced by bias or emotion. Journaling transforms fleeting impressions into tangible data, training the mind to differentiate between genuine intuitive insight and random thought. Another powerful exercise is short, focused meditation with attention on the body. Even a few minutes a day can help you tune into subtle signals, heartbeats, muscle tension, or the sensation of ease versus discomfort. These bodily cues often accompany intuitive perceptions and are your mind-body system's way of communicating rapid assessments of situations. Start by noticing one sensation at a time. For example, when faced with a choice, pause and observe any physical reactions. Do you feel tension, lightness, warmth, or constriction? These sensations can provide honest feedback that complements conscious reasoning. The key is to practice without judgment, simply noticing and recording the experience. Small decisions provide excellent opportunities to build confidence in intuition. Begin with low-stakes choices: what to eat, which route to take to work, or which task to prioritize first. Notice which options feel right or off instinctively. Act on them and observe the results. Gradually, you strengthen the neural and emotional pathways that support accurate intuitive responses. Applying intuition in daily life requires integrating these signals with conscious thought. In business, intuition can guide strategy, risk assessment, and creativity. Experienced leaders often report that decisions felt right before data confirmed them. By combining analytical reasoning with intuition, you access both conscious and unconscious resources, leading to faster and often more accurate decision-making. In relationships, intuition helps sense subtle cues in tone, expression, or energy, enabling deeper empathy and understanding. You may recognize when someone is hesitant, joyful, or stressed without needing explicit explanation. Trusting these impressions fosters better communication and connection. Creativity is another domain where intuition shines. Artists, writers, and innovators often describe ideas coming out of nowhere. By practicing awareness, journaling, and reflection, you create fertile ground for these insights. Intuition connects past experience, observation, and imagination, allowing novel ideas to emerge naturally. Consistency is key. Daily practices, even brief ones, compound over time. Notice, record, reflect, and act on your intuitive impressions. Balance intuition with reasoning, verifying insights when necessary, but do not dismiss subtle signals simply because they are rapid or nonlinear. Intuition is most reliable when cultivated patiently, thoughtfully, and repeatedly. Remember, intuition is a skill, not a magic trick. It thrives when the mind is calm, present, and observant. Avoid distractions, overanalysis, or the temptation to force insights. Instead, create space for awareness, notice subtle cues, and trust the feedback your body and mind provide. Over time, this practice develops a robust inner guidance system accessible in any situation. By integrating journaling, brief meditation, attentive observation, and small intuitive experiments into daily routines, anyone can awaken this hidden faculty. The result is not only improved decision-making, but also enhanced creativity, emotional awareness, and alignment with personal values. Intuition becomes a trusted ally, a silent partner in navigating complexity, uncertainty, and opportunity. In the final chapter, we will reflect on the journey of intuition, from ancient practices to modern science, and explore how cultivating this hidden faculty can transform your life, empowering you to navigate the future with confidence, insight, and presence. As we conclude our journey through the realms of intuition, from ancient practices and mystical traditions to modern neuroscience and practical exercises, it is essential to pause and reflect on the deeper significance of cultivating this hidden faculty. Albert Einstein once remarked, "The only real valuable thing is intuition." This simple yet profound statement captures the essence of what we have explored. Intuition is more than fleeting insight or a gut feeling. It is a powerful tool for navigating the complexities of life, integrating knowledge, experience, and subtle perception in ways that transcend rational analysis. Carl Jung also emphasized the importance of attending to inner signals. Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams, who looks inside awakes. Jung reminds us that awakening intuition begins within, by observing, reflecting, and trusting the signals that arise from our inner world. This is not about dismissing rational thought or scientific reasoning. It is about creating balance. Your intellect and your intuition are partners, not competitors. When they collaborate, decisions become richer, more informed, and often surprisingly clear. Intuition acts as a compass, guiding you toward options and insights that may not yet be visible to conscious reasoning alone. To awaken this faculty in your own life, remember the practices we explored: journaling insights, meditating with attention to the body, trusting small instinctive decisions, and reflecting on outcomes. These are not abstract exercises. They are tools to train awareness, integrate experience, and cultivate reliable guidance from within. Trust is the final ingredient. It can be challenging to act on intuition, especially in a world that prizes logic, analysis, and measurable outcomes. Yet, by honoring what you feel as well as what you know, you open yourself to a richer, more responsive way of engaging with life. Small acts of trust, choosing a path, responding to a subtle hunch, or listening to a quiet impression, strengthen the connection to your inner guidance. Let this be your invitation. Cultivate the discipline to notice, the courage to trust, and the wisdom to integrate intuition into daily life. Observe patterns, reflect on experiences, and honor the subtle signals your body and mind provide. In doing so, you awaken a faculty that has guided humans for centuries, a faculty that can help you navigate complexity, seize opportunity, and live with presence and confidence. In closing, remember these words. Intuition is the voice of experience, the whisper of the heart, and the compass of the soul. Listen closely, act wisely, and trust the guidance that arises from within. Your journey with intuition is ongoing. Each day, each choice, and each quiet moment of reflection strengthens this hidden gift. By honoring both your mind and your inner voice, you create a life guided not only by what you think, but by what you deeply know and feel.